Welcome to Imagine Your Life with Jenny Lynn. I am your host today, Jenny Lynn McKinnon, and today I am going to help you understand and teach words matter. Words matter. Every word that we speak matters. And I apologize for the glare on my glasses. My lighting's a little off today. So we're going to lose the glasses. Welcome. Welcome to my show. I am so glad that you are here today as we discuss the topic words matter. Because every word that we speak, every word that we think matters. And it is the power of our words that helps us control what happens in our life. That's how we manifest. That's how we bring what we want into our life. And whatever we speak magnifies and comes back to us. Now, words, every word every thought has a vibration. And what are thoughts? Thoughts are made up of words, of language. We have this amazing computer in our brain that helps us translate and learn language. Right now, I have two 3-year-old grandchildren, and it has been so fun to watch them learn to speak, they start to mimic, they start to make sounds. That's where it starts, right? Sounds. And then those sounds become words, and then those words have power. And they learn that water, water, water. We've been learning teaching sign language, so I also kind of use my hands a lot with my little 3-year-olds. But they're learning now to translate the sign language into words. And it's like within probably the last month, the vocabulary of my 3-year-old granddaughter has just exploded. And for her, it's like power. And she can use her words and she gets what she wants. She's like, purple cup. It has to be purple. She doesn't want the brown one that grandma gives her. She wants the purple cup. And of course I give her the purple cup because because I love my granddaughter, and it's not important to me whether she has a purple cup or a brown cup, but it's important to her. And just a cute little story. So is my little granddaughter about this 2-year-old, so about a 2-year-old, and she just started having a really hard time going to sleep, and she was just trying so hard. There was something she wanted, and she was crying and crying and crying in her crib, and the parents are trying to figure it out. What is this that she wants? And she just kept pointing to her head, and then finally she was able to put together the word bow, bow, coming from this little 2-year-old that just kind of speaks gibberish. And her mom's like, you want a bow? And then she says, yes, yes. I mean, kids, one of their first words they learn is no, no. So it was no, no. And now it's yes, yes. But she wanted a bow in her hair. So her mom got a bow and put it in her hair. And she laid down with her little blankie and went right to sleep. And it's been interesting that since that night, her thing recently for several weeks has been bow, bow, bow. And as soon as she gets a bow in her hair, and sometimes she likes 2 or 3, then she will lay down and just go to sleep. Why is that for her? Does that calm her spirit? I don't know. But the power of words, to bring about what we want starts at such a very young age. And it's part of the programming in our mind. And we have this language center in our brain that is there designed to interpret everything around us in language and put it into words. And then those of you out there that speak multiple languages and the gift of tongues and bring that understanding of language. It's amazing. Well, words matter. And I want to liken words unto a seed. You know, in the Christian Bible and in the book called the Book of Mormon, which is from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, there's stories that liken the word to a seed. And when the word of God is planted in our hearts, it grows and it blossoms. Well, when the words of negative and evil, if I can say that, or bad words are planted, well, guess what? That grows and magnifies also. And what the seed that we plant, that word, that thought that we plant, grows and magnifies. And it is true that we reap what we sow. That isn't just a biblical Christian principle. That is a life principle. What we plant and the seeds that we plant, that which we reap, is what we will sow, or what we sow, we will reap. So as we plant those seeds, then we can expect to have beautiful plants. I'm looking in the background behind me, beautiful plants that are in my office. And how did those plants start? Well, they started with a seed. And from that seed, and then watering that seed, growing, and then magnifying. And now I have these beautiful plants in my office. Well, that's how the garden grows. You plant a corn seed, you're going to get corn. You plant a tomato seed, you're going to get tomatoes. Isn't that incredible and amazing how things grow? And it is very true that we reap what we sow. We have to plant it first, and then we can reap it. It's the same thing with our words. As we plant our words, and that's what we sow. Okay, enough of that. I want to go on and talk about how our mind, when what we acknowledge. Now, last week, we talked about mirror work. And we talked about these mirror neurons that we have in our brain that are only activated when we see someone doing something else. And we can take control of what we do want to magnify in our lives by practicing and seeing the words in front of a mirror. As we speak the words are translated into our brain. We're planting seeds. When we're doing mirror work and we are acknowledging the positive and the good within us, then we also can grow and water that seed. And then through our self-talk throughout the day, then that magnifies and grows from there. But I want to focus in on that when we're saying all these positive things about ourselves, especially if you're early in your journey of self-talk, if you're pulling yourself out of the gutter, and the gutters of life, and it can feel like that. You don't have to have physically been living in a gutter to feel like you've been stepped on and life is hard, right? Well, how do we change those things in our lives? How do we change the environment around us? How do we manifest what we do want in our lives? The key is through our self-talk, and that's where it starts. And we get to change our programming. If you've heard lots of negative from the time that you were just tiny, and then that starts that programming. I'll remind you that from 3.5 months conception, while you're still in your mother's womb, until you are about 7, 8 years old, sometimes 9 or 10, in normal human development, everything that child, that comes into that child, those words that child hears, become planted. Those are the seeds that are planted. That starts the programming. And then we spend the rest of our lives living out our programming. Once we identify what those negative thoughts, those negative programming is, then we can stop it. And we can stop the negative and recognize that that is not true. I was working with a client recently, and he's an older gentleman, probably in his 60s. It's a long time to live with these negative thought patterns. And as we started looking at his life and like, whoa, like this is a gentleman that has tried to do good things in his life, and he's tried to compensate, but he always felt so empty. And that empty feeling, when you're not receiving back to you, we had to identify, where is this coming from? Why did you start using drugs and meth and alcohol? And how come why is it that you destroyed your business through drugs and alcohol and your relationships? And as we uncovered that, it came from, he was 5 months conception in his mother's womb. Now, how do we know that? Through hypnosis. We were able to go back to those memories. Isn't it amazing that we can uncover that and know 5 months conception? His parents were having a lot of problems. He had a stepdad, and his real dad, his real biological dad, while the mother's 5.5 months pregnant, says to the mother, I don't want this baby. I don't want to be a part of your life. I'm gone. And rejected that child. The story got worse from there. I'm not going to go into that too much, but he had this core belief that I am rejected. And it started in his womb. How is he accountable for that? He was a baby. So the only thing he becomes accountable for is for gathering the learning and forgiving, stepping into forgiveness and moving forward. As we acknowledged and found that negative programming that's been running, that's been a hook and an anchor to every negative thing that's come around in his life, his experiences with being bullied, not only by his siblings, but by his stepdad, just picked it right up after his father passed him off. And then his stepdad singled him out. And then the bullying continues, and the victimization, and then the coping mechanisms, and everything that comes into play to create our life and our learning. Well, now here he is 65, and he's like, my life's a mess. What's wrong with me that I can't hold on to relationships? Why is it that I push people away? Well, when you have a label on your forehead that says subconsciously, reject me, then people do. It's just like handing them a script, and they play out the role that you have given them. And this is all subconscious from our words. And when we identify those words, those core beliefs, those anchoring core beliefs, and that negative programming, guess what? We can change it. Well, how do we change it? This is how we change it. And this is the topic for today. So I had this gentleman beginning to reframe his self-talk. We went through a lot of forgiveness work. You can look up the book Zero Limits by Joe Vitale and and another doctor. I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, and I don't have the book actually with me right now, but it's called Zero Limits, and it focuses on 4 words. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. It's the Hawaiian method of healing, and that is so powerful, but it's words. So we did some forgiveness work, and then as we're standing in front of the mirror in my office, and I'm having him say, I love and accept myself, and he stops and he says, there's a voice in my head screaming at me, that is not true. You are not worthy of love and acceptance. And that voice can get really loud. And sometimes it can be really subtle and small, but pay attention that when you are making positive statements about yourself, especially when you're working so hard on changing that programming and those negative words come up and forward, and this is my main message for today, you have to acknowledge the negative to stop it. Because if you try to run away from that negative thought, feeling, especially when it's been embedded in your mind and your subconscious believes it so strongly that my role in life is to be rejected. My role in life is to be I'm not worthy of love. Are you kidding? When we're changing that programming and you're doing the mirror work and the necessary internal work to change it, those voices will become louder. And you have to acknowledge it. I like to acknowledge it, and I tell my clients to see a stop sign, a red stop sign in front of you, to stop that thought. And then it's, yes, I used to feel that way about myself. That used to be true in the past, but that is not me now. Now I am worthy of love. And now I know the truth. I know the truth. The truth is that I am worthy of love, and I have always been worthy of love. The truth is that there is no person, place, circumstance, event, thought, feeling, idea, image, or sensation that can ever prevent you from being happy and successful and certainly worthy of love. And so we have to stop and acknowledge the negative, that negative voice. If you do not, what we resist persists. What we resist persists and grows. If you're working on weight loss and you're thinking about, oh, that chocolate cake that they had last night. Oh, I just want some of that chocolate cake. And you were really good at the point of dinner that you didn't have any chocolate cake. But your mind is thinking about that chocolate cake. I really want it. I really want it. And you're working really hard. Well, if you don't acknowledge that, my goodness, yeah, in the past I would have eaten that total complete chocolate cake. And acknowledge that, yes, I really like chocolate cake. And then you go and you acknowledge that feeling, that craving for that chocolate cake. Then you can change it. You can acknowledge it. And then you can move forward with the positive. What would be the positive? Maybe the positive is like you have a really small bite-sized portion of the next time there's chocolate cake there, and hey, this is good. I do want this, some of this. And so then you just take a very, very small portion and you satisfy that craving. That's for when you're working with weight loss and with foods. But when you're working with your internal dialogue and your self-esteem and your, who am I? What am I about? What do I want to manifest? Am I really worthy of living in a house? Do I have to be in debt? How do I get out of debt? Am I worthy of a new car, even a new used car. That's I really like previously owned cars and let someone else take that appreciation. But I had to feel worthy to feel comfortable being able to sit in a new Buick Enclave. That's what my husband got me. First time in my life I've had a really nice car. I love it. And that's not really even fancy. It's nice and it was previously used. But I had to change my self-talk long before I ever manifested that car into my life. Because I will tell you, that self-talk is real. And it will say, you're not worthy of that. You're not worthy of driving a nice car. You're not worthy of living in a nice house, having nice things, new clothes, nice clothes. No, no. You get to shop at the thrift stores. You get to gather things from others. No, that's not you. Well, guess what? That used to be real for me. And I had to change my self-talk. And how did I change it? You acknowledge the negative because what you resist persists in all aspects of life, whether it's drugs or whether it's chocolate cake. What you resist persists. So you acknowledge the negative with the phrase, yes, I used to feel that way. And I used to think that was true. But now I know the truth. And I know that I can choose. I can choose and decide. And it gives power. And how is that? It's through our words. Through our words. That word, stop, that's a word. And we acknowledge the word. We acknowledge the negative. And then we change it for a positive. Those positive words, those positive affirmations. Every word that we speak, every word that we think matters. It matters. And when you're speaking, you are planting seeds, and you're planting seeds into the lives of those around you. Most importantly, you're planting seeds in your own heart. Now, the words that you read and the books that you read matter as much as the words that you speak, if not even more. Because as you learn, and the words that we speak, the words that we read, reading is a very hypnotic experience because all those words, those thoughts, those emotions are going into the subconscious brain. Very powerful way. You want to change your life? Pick up a good book. A good book that's going to help you change your thought patterns. Classics, stories. The brain loves stories and imagination. And we can change our lives. We can manifest what we do want. But we have to acknowledge the negative. So what we resist persists. The way we change it is by acknowledging the negative, recognizing it, saying the phrase, I used to feel that way, but that's not the truth anymore. That's not me anymore. Because the truth is, I am powerful. I am worthy. I am strong. The truth is, there is no person, place, circumstance, event, thought, feeling, idea, image, or sensation from the past, the present, or ever to arrive in the future that can prevent you from being happy and successful. You deserve to live the life you love and love the life you live. Plant those seeds. Plant those seeds in your heart and pluck the weeds out of your heart. And you pluck the weeds by acknowledging the negative and saying, that's not true. Used to be true, but that's not me anymore. because that's not true. That's not me. It wasn't then, and it isn't now. And those were just lies that I was believing ever since then. And now I know the truth. And the truth is that I am worthy of love, that you are worthy of love. And I encourage you to practice your mirror work, activate those mirror neurons, strengthen the positive, water those seeds. That's how you water the seed, and you feel it grow in your heart and magnify. And that is how you manifest. That's how you can create the life you love and live. Love the life you live and live the life you love. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to leave you with my favorite tip. Tonight and every night as you go to sleep and your fingers touch your pillow, you repeat in your mind the phrase, every day in every way, I get better and better. Repeated 10 times, one for each finger, as your fingers touch the mattress and you prepare for sleep. Every day in every way, I get better and better. And this way, because your brain, what you think, the last thought that you think about is what your brain thinks about all night long. And then the next day, you're bound to repeat that same pattern. So if you have a really bad day and you go to bed and you're thinking about your really bad day, guess what? It gets it gets put into a file called How to Have a Bad Day. And the next day, you're bound to have another bad day. Compound that over time, that equals many bad days, years, or months, years, lives, right? A really crappy life. That's how people end up in prison. But the very same bad day, and now you go to bed and you repeat in your mind the phrase, every day, in every way, I get better and better. Very same bad day, but now you have given your brain a problem to solve, which is how can I be better tomorrow than today? And now while you sleep, your brain is working for you instead of against you. It is the most powerful way to capture your own subconscious mind. Just by repeating the phrase every day in every way, I get better and better. And now while you sleep, your brain's working for you. And the next day, you're just a little bit better. Just a little growth is better and will compound over time. And when you compound that little seed, you're going to grow that seed into many good days, many good weeks, many good months, many good years, and you will wake up 20 years from now and, and have an incredible life. So here's my final question. What is it that 20 years from now you would wish that you did today? Let it start with your words. Every day in every way, you get better and better. Thank you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you next week. And I so appreciate everyone that has hopped on, and I look forward to our discussion. And I am going to go ahead and stop the recording now.